Hey everyone, welcome to the Sackhoff Show. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. It is a crazy last minute recording because I am up in Vancouver filming Katee. So things may look and sound slightly different because I'm not in the studio, but I'm so happy to be here for today's guest. For those of you listening in the Dallas, Texas area, we have Rebel Scum Con this coming weekend. We are doing the live show on Sunday at 12 o'clock with Emily Swallow and probably another surprise Mando guest. So if you haven't gotten your tickets for that, make sure you do that and come out and see us. I will be there Saturday and Sunday at Rebel Scum. Half day Saturday because I'm flying in. I will be exhausted, so please forgive me. Today's guest, I am really excited. I have seen this person at conventions. I have briefly talked to this person at conventions. I've been a fan for so many years. We have so many friends in common, but I've never actually talked to him, which is what I love about this podcast. Today's guest is none other than Brandon Routh. If you don't know Brandon, he played Clark Kent, aka Superman in Superman Returns. He played Adam across the DC Berlanti Universe. He also brought back Superman, which is very cool. He played Todd Ingram in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. He is currently out in the movie Ick from one of my favorite directors, Joseph Kahn, who, if you remember, I did that little Power Rangers fan video many, many years ago. You can watch that on YouTube. Joseph directed that, and he is absolutely amazing. His directing style is one of my favorites. We talk about that in the episode, but he is playing Hank right now in the movie Ick with Mina Suvari. It's fantastic. I hope you guys enjoy that movie. As much as I hope you enjoy this conversation with Brandon, he is truly just a wonderful guy. He is, we talk about fatherhood. We talk about Superman. We talk about the new Superman versus his Superman. We talk about all of that stuff. We also talk about his return as Superman in the DC universe and his turn at Adam. And we also talk about working with Joseph, which is why we were here. Make sure you stick around for the hindsight afterwards, where we're going to talk about Brandon, but also talk about our lives and things that are going on. And we're going to get into fan questions in the mail sack. If you enjoy what we're bringing you here, and I hope you do, because we enjoy it so much, you can join us at the Patreon, which is patreon.com/The Sackhoff Show. There's lots of perks over there, including extended hindsights. There's merch coming very, very soon, and fan Q&As and Ask Me Anythings. And we're going to have a lot more things coming in the near future. So please go check that out and support the show. So I'm going to get out of your way so you can get to know Brandon just like I did a little bit better, and enjoy.
How's it going?
It's good.
Yeah.
I just listened to your interview with Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know Alan?
Yeah.
What did you work with him, or are you just friends?
No, just well, I think I've met him first time during the Firefly premiere. Wait, Serenity? The movie is Serenity.
Yes.
Serenity premiere. This is like the first premiere I went to back when I got cast for Superman. I think it was 2005, went to or whatever, 2006, I guess, but before the movie Superman came out. And I went with my cousin Kevin, who was a huge Firefly fan, got me into it. And so we met Nathan, and that was cool because he was on One Life to Live, which yes. I was on, but he left like a year before me. And people were always like, "You're like Nathan." Oh, he went off, and he did the two guys and the girl and the pizza thing. But I was always kind of like, I was chasing Nathan a little bit. And anyway, so that was cool to meet him. And I told him the story. He's like, "Oh, we're both on OLTL." And then Comic Cons and stuff like that, see each other, and birthday party and whatnot. He's invited us to. And then we worked on The Rookie. He had me come be a bad guy on that.
The Rookie seems
anyway, so Alan, and I met Alan, kind of not as much, but in conventions also, and a huge fan I loved him in from A Knight's Tale and before that. And
A Knight's Tale was the first premiere I ever went to.
Oh, that's That's cool. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. So your parents?
Oh, and my dad just recently was like, "Hey, you watching that Alien show?" And I was like, "Oh, Resident Alien?" He's like, "Yeah." Oh, and I said, "I know Alan." He's like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And then I saw Alan, and then I took a picture with him, and I sent it to my dad. And then it was a whole funny thing. And then we started watching, my son and I, when we were in Iowa for 4th of July, just the last couple of weeks, we started watching Resident Alien season 1 with my parents, who had already seen it. But anyway, Leo liked it.
It is the strangest show.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Ever. Like the fact that I love that a show like Resident Alien can get made still.
Mm-hmm.
It just fills me with joy that like they're still like, okay, like that seems unique and interesting, and like it actually was greenlit. That's great.
Yes. And quirky and just wonderful people doing wonderful things.
100%. Yeah.
Story.
I also, Teddy Sears is also, his wife is one of my best friends, and Teddy is like such a close friend of mine. And he was like, we were on One Life to Live together.
Yes.
And we were both like, in the Arrowverse together, or the Berlanti world together. It's like so wild. So wild.
Yeah,
so he
never got to really work on that. Hi.
Exactly. Everyone, when they found out I was interviewing you today, everyone started coming out of the woodwork, including our nanny. And she was like, I worked with him. And I was like, stop it. She was like, yeah, he did a game show at one point.
Oh.
And I was there. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy.
She was a guest?
I don't quite know. It was in passing.
Anyway, yeah. I did the one with Jane Lynch when was one of those ones.
Yeah. So you've basically worked with everyone in my zeitgeist.
I mean, I'm getting the 25-year mark. I think it's about time.
I know, including Joseph Kahn.
Yes.
So when I met Joe to do the Power Rangers thing,
yes,
I was blown away by his style. It's so unique. It's so frenetic. It's so influenced by music. Mm-hmm. Were you familiar with him before Ick, or did it sort of just come your way through? How did it come your way?
Well, I was familiar with. I didn't know his name, but I knew your the thing you guys did.
Yeah.
The Power Rangers, and shocked like the rest of the people watching it back in the day when we didn't have a lot of that and the internet was still new. Whatever. All of 10 years ago? How long was that?
It was a long time. 15 years ago.
15 years ago? Wow. I hadn't seen Bodied until this movie came to me. And it came through a fellow Iowan producer, Joe Heath, who was working with Joseph already on some of the financing. And then Joe said, well, what about Brandon? And I guess Joseph said, thought, oh, Superman hindered with a broken leg. This sounds interesting. And, they passed it on to me and I read the script and I thought, if this isn't too scary, if it's not too gory, because I really don't like in your face horror stuff, but I like the comedy that's in here. It feels like it could be what I think it is. And then I talked to Joseph, watched Body, and I was like, okay, yes, please. Mm-hmm. Body blew me away, and it just like the story that he told, the way that he told it, the freshness of it, and knowing that it was, on a shoestring,
Yeah. Everything.
Not that I want to shoot things on a shoestring anymore, but to show that it can be done, is like we've proven that. Now somebody give Joseph the respect and the money to.
I think it's interesting watching someone shoot on such a small budget, because you see the creativity and you see sort of their bag of tricks that they use to convey that they have a bigger budget. Yeah. And so when they actually get, a more sizable budget, they can stretch it so much further and create a much more fleshed out world than somebody else in that same position.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we need more constraints. I mean, there's something about, I don't know what those constraints are, because, you get a big tentpole movie and you usually give it to the director and they get to do whatever they want. But I don't know. There are sometimes story has to change because you don't have the budget to use this location. And maybe that location was too big anyway, and you're going to find a more unique, authentic, smaller moment that's going to mean more in a smaller space. And Joseph is so adept at like adapting to the scenario. Is like, oh, I don't have this. That really pisses me off. I'm upset, but we got to do something. So I don't know, put it on the ground, get me my knee pads. We're shooting it this way. And Brandon, the angle is changing this way. And then, we've done it. And maybe it's even a more dynamic shot because the thing that he'd thought of, that he'd staged and he'd thought of for all this time is overplayed, or it is, not the best way. And we've come up with some new genius idea. So I don't know what that says, but there's ability to be a Swiss Army knife like Joseph is very much of film that is a pretty kind of punk way of like, this was like punk filmmaking, I think, because Chancellor was there editing. We could shoot one take, see what it looks like, know if we have to go on or not. And then that was it.
Yeah.
It would be, for anybody making movies who might be listening to this, like it's a one-stop shop. Like it only makes sense to work with somebody like him who you're going to see what you're getting right away also.
Yeah. And he knows what he wants right away, right? And especially when you either work with a director who is an editor, or you're working with someone like you explained where the editor's there, they know exactly when they have what they need and can move on. Like it's really, really, they don't chew the fat. They just like, we've got it, let's move.
Yeah, and I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again if they're not going to use it.
Yeah.
Especially when you do a whole long scene. It's like there's different types of acting. Yeah. I have not professionally, as a professional actor, been in a play. I've only done, community and high school theater.
That counts. I think that counts.
But it is. What's performance? I'm just saying, as an adult, I have not done that.
Me neither.
I'm just saying there's long form acting, and then there's this very short form. Like I have 5 seconds to deliver this experience for the camera, and I'm selling it for the movie. This is the Tom Cruise shot. It's like your face. Joseph's like, we're selling you, Brandon. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I look great in this movie.
Exactly.
I am like, I want to work with Joseph all the time because the shot is made for me, and I'm just turning into it.
Yeah.
And I have to deliver and have something interesting on my face and do all that stuff to fulfill my part of the bargain. But it's fun. It's a very different style, but you got to be into it. And he warned me, and I thought, I've done enough TV, working under the gun, enough other independent movie work to know that I don't need a lot. As long as I trust the director, which I can trust him, just tell me what note you want me to play. It kind of became like that. I let go of my ego because I could see we're making this really cool thing and we're doing it together. I'm still me. I don't have to, it's so much of his vision.
Yeah.
And I was okay, like having it be that, because I'm still Hank. I'm still giving an authentic Hank experience.
How did he explain his style to you? Like, what was that conversation like with him to begin with that he prepared you for?
He worked to tell me that there were a lot of setups, move very quickly, and sometimes like you wouldn't even finish a whole scene. Like it might just be little bits and pieces, and then we turn and we do another shot. And I kind of understood that experience because of working on Edgar Wright film, working on Scott Pilgrim versus the World. It was in some ways like that. Like he had everything storyboarded. We knew what we were doing. We were fitting this style. We had freedom to express the character, but we saw the physical boundaries. And it was very stylistically shot. This little bit, then this little bit, then this little bit. And we kind of shot a lot chronologically as best that he could. So stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. And if you're okay with that, then, you'll be okay. But if you need to do the whole scene all the way through to get it done and to feel accomplished as an actor, this might not be the thing for you. Because there were very few scenes that we did all the way through. I was like, oh, finally, we're doing a master.
Do you find that freeing or do you find that challenging?
Well, both. I think it depends on the director, because Joseph knew in his head what it was going to look like. As long as I trusted him, I would just do what he said, and I could also see it. Then I could also see it, and I go, "Oh, you're right." Even if I didn't think that was right, because I contested him sometimes. Like, I don't think that he'd think this way.
Yeah.
I would do it his way and see it with the lighting, with the tone, and go, "Okay, no, you're right," or we're both right, and I'm going to take half of what I'm doing and half of what you're doing, and that'll be the money shot, because we're literally building the movie. I mean, it's kind of cool. We're building the movie on set, right?
As you're going.
We're not building it, and then he's going to go away and choose the things. So it also made me like, okay, I'm because I. Ooh, this is interesting. Because I knew, even though we didn't shoot chronologically necessarily, well, we didn't, but because I knew what the selects were going to be, or the kind of the tone for the scenes that were proceeding, or even that happened later, I could adjust myself. I think along the way too, which I don't think I realized that until now, but it was something that it was information that I was being given that was helping just like feel confident that I was on the right page with this character.
So you're basically, gosh, that must have actually been really interesting, because you're so rarely as an actor part of that process where you're actually molding the character in the editing room, but you could manipulate is the wrong word, I think, but manipulate your character based on what you're seeing and where you also as an actor want to see them go.
Yeah, I mean, mostly the tones were all different shades of the same character. Right. But it's like, oh, is he more animated? Is he more upset? Is he less pissed? Once I found the internal kind of engine and temperature for Hank, and knowing that I didn't have to show up as much, like I didn't have to be the Superman. I had to be the hero.
Yeah,
was, I guess, a nice thing. I stepped out of it when cameras weren't rolling to be, like number one, and to be, to bring levity to everyone, go on really tough, hot days, and say, "Hey, we're still, this is worth it, everybody." And then going back into Hank, for his kind of more moody performances. But,
we talk about that a lot actually on this show, about the importance of number one, and sort of what that means to people, and people who have had the pleasure of doing that, had the pleasure of working with a good one and a bad one. What does that mean to you, and what kind of set do you like to create?
Oh, good question. I think, first is recognizing that I am number one, and what that means. Number one on the call sheet, for anybody who doesn't know, usually is the lead of whatever the project is. And certainly on Superman, I was number one, and 2 or 1A. I don't know I can't remember what they marked Clark. But that was just me kind of holding on, and doing my best to show up as Superman and Clark every day. And then I did Dylan Dog, Dead of Night, which was a smaller film, and that was a project that I helped bring, in the way that did bring to fruition too. So I had ownership of it. And then on Legends of Tomorrow, I was never number one, but I was number 3 and then number 2. But I always went in with a number one attitude, because it was our show, and I had been up in Vancouver long enough to know that, as wonderful as working on all the Arrowverse shows were, there's a disconnect that happens between Los Angeles and Vancouver. And, the actors tend to feel like a little bit, the long lost children that don't get to see the parents. And we had to kind of band together and be our family and be our cheerleaders also up there.
Right.
And I took that on and enjoyed that. And, it just, working on a show as long as I did on that, I love the community and the family and showing up every day and getting to be funny and play Ray Palmer, bringing comedy. I could see, how important it was for. I recognize the possibility of the effect that I could have on my fellow workmates just by showing up and being engaged and being excited to be there.
Yes.
Because they have maybe a more boring job than I do, or who knows if they want to do their thing.
Yeah.
But to go up there and grump around is disrespectful to them and their work and the hard work that they're doing and everything else. And, all the stuff. It's just like, it's such a wonderful thing we get to be part of. I'm making a very long answer, but on this movie, I recognize that everyone was working for less than they deserved in really tough weather, not knowing if it's going to pay off. But I knew that it would. I knew that it was going to for me. I already knew that I was already winning by being a part of this project. Yeah. And the only way I was going to get through it also was if everybody else made it through it. And so I just wanted to be a family. Yeah. And so we did our best. Yeah.
I am a fan of faux fur blankets. I have so many of them. And the thing that always drove me nuts about them is that they're not machine washable. Every time I want to clean them, I've got to get them dry cleaned, which is a hassle. They're heavy, they're bulky, they are so expensive, and they were expensive to begin with. It's really frustrating, especially because my dogs always like to lay on them. So now I'm pushing my dogs off the blankets. The moment I got this box, I was so excited. Lola Blankets. I opened it with my daughter. We opened it in the entry of our home and took it out. And she immediately goes, "Oh, mama," and laid right on it on the entry of our house. And it was the cutest thing. But also, I am not kidding you. This is the softest thing I've ever felt. I started carrying it around the house, showing family members. I was like, "Honey, feel this blanket." And then to my mother-in-law, "Feel this blanket." I was instantaneously blown away by the color, the softness, and the size, and just the overall feel of this blanket. The best part about it, Lola blankets are machine washable, and I am just amazingly excited about that. For a limited time, our listeners are getting a huge 35% off their entire order at lolablankets.com by using code Sackhoff at checkout. Just head to lolablankets.com and use code Sackhoff for 35% off. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard of them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Wrap yourself in luxury with Lola Blankets. I promise you will not be disappointed. I love this company. This is an ad by BetterHelp. I don't know about you guys, but the internet and life can sometimes lead us to feel overwhelmed. Constantly, every single day, we are bombarded with advice and how we should feel about things, from cold plunges to gratitude journals and screen detoxes. And finding the things that actually work for you can be really difficult. We're constantly talking about how people's mental health is truly struggling these days. Finding a therapist to help who's the right fit for you is not always easy. I searched for quite a while to find somebody who I felt not only comfortable with, but somebody who I felt actually was helping me. I learned a lot from all of my years in therapy, and I continue to go to therapy. I find it to be very, very, very important to my mental health and the overall mental health of my family. BetterHelp has over 30,000 therapists. It is the largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life, and it works
As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Sackhoff. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Sackhoff.
You bring up Superman, and it's like, I'm sure you've been asked a million times about it today, but what's your relationship like to the character now?
I think it's even better than it was. I mean, I think I grow and learn more about Superman all the time. Or just become more confident in, the importance, the seeming importance, it's palpable. It's a real thing. The love and spirit of Superman. Think about us, this country without Superman. I don't know. It's a little bit hard to quantify. Maybe some other superhero would have come up. But the fact that he's the most endearing, that he is a Boy Scout, that he is what I think is the best of us, kind of without family, just choosing to be goodness, which is kind of what we see exemplified in the new movie, which is pretty awesome. Stripped of all family, in a way. What is family? What is real family? What is found family? What is just what you feel inside, the positive energy that, hopefully all of us feel at some point in our life inside, that I feel. That's the connection that Superman has. That's the archetype of hero, that's pure love. Like Superman's based on pure mutual love and respect. That's how he can protect and save and understand that even Lex, had a bad childhood, obviously. Oops, I lost my chair. Or, something happened, other than a created, maniac like Bizarro Superman. He doesn't count. But the real people. And Superman works to say, let's find our better, the better parts of us that are there. We just don't shed enough light on them.
Yeah.
We're too boring and fighting.
So many people have played Superman, and a lot of people actually seem to have not the best circumstances when they move on from Superman, in the sense that, like, everyone who's played him has wanted to play him a little bit longer. And did your ability to play him again in Crisis, and was that cathartic? Did they had to convince you to do that? Was it strange? How did that feel?
A mix of a lot of those things. It was very cathartic. They didn't have to convince me, but I didn't say yes right away.
No.
Mark Guggenheim called me and conversation about a couple things, but at the end it was like, oh, we're doing the crossover, and would you what would you think about playing a character with a different colored suit also in it? And I was like, what? Are you saying what I think you're saying? And he's like, yeah. He's like, Warner Brothers said, Warner Brothers, DC, everybody said, okay, we have this idea. And I said, wow, it was really, took me by surprise. Absolutely. And I was very honored. And I just wanted to make sure that he was treated respectfully, that he wasn't killed, even though he kind of was in a way, but that he wasn't, the character would remain in the world, the DC verse, and that I'd get to do something heroic. Yeah. And there's that one little passage that's in there that they gave me, a wonderful little, very Superman like scene to have. So yeah, it meant a great deal to me. It meant that the work that I'd done in Superman Returns was validated. And ironically, but maybe not surprisingly, it did so much for the fans also. Like in recent years, I have so many fans coming up and saying, it meant so much to me that you returned in Crisis of Infinite Earths. And I was like, me too. It's like we went on that journey together, and for fans of that movie who unfortunately have had to stick up for it and stand up for their choice in liking the movie, being unrightly maligned by many people, they have a little bit of justice and vindication. And I feel the same thing too. And it's nice. It makes the Superman thing even more collectively involved in the family. I know goes far beyond me. I just get to be the kind of vessel, as it were, and a mirror reflector back of the love that I've gotten for Superman. Honestly, it's a very privileged position that I find myself in, whatever that means to anybody. But like, I have all this love coming at me that's almost too hard to like know what to do with.
Yeah.
As I sit in my house and have my own worldly concerns, but knowing that if I show up someplace and am present enough to just meet somebody and hear the little story about Superman, that is a show of showing up as a human being, and like that has a palpable effect on people.
Yeah. Yeah. I it's funny because Superman Returns, like now that, and this happens a lot with Star Wars, right? When you get far enough away from something, fans, naysayers, people who viewed it start to look at it differently. And I think that people are having this sort of nostalgia look back on Superman and appreciating it. Whereas I think at the time, so many people put so much pressure on you and so much pressure on the movie to be so much for everyone because it was the legacy of Chris, that it was almost unfair, in my opinion.
I mean, thanks. I appreciate that. And yeah, the odds were stacked against me to a degree going in. I certainly knew that, and was okay with that, and understand certainly now from a more bird's eye view, years past, the transition that was needed and necessary for the character to go from Chris's films to Superman Returns to what we have and the Man of Steel, and then to this most recent movie. That's a big shift. Just look at there was a movie before Superman Returns, which was more like this Superman that we saw. Bigger, meta-human, science-y, pushing the envelope that of the Superman lore. And that movie, fell apart for several reasons. But when it came back, it was more in the traditional style, and following in Chris's footsteps a little bit with Brian's version. And that fit me. That fit me so well. And I don't know how I would function in these other movies. I don't know that I would have been able to be the same. It would have been a different experience for me, because my Superman is Chris is the Superman that is in the movie, that I don't think I could have. It would have been harder for me to make him lesser than, because I see such, like, I think I probably over project for Superman. But I'm like the glass, like, overflowing Superman.
Yeah. Which
we don't, we haven't really seen. I don't know that I don't know that everybody's ready for that one yet, but
How do you, as you've sort of, like you said, 25 years in this business, how has your relationship with this industry and the business shifted, and how do you protect yourself and your, like, well-being now as opposed to back then, or if not, if it's changed at all?
I think the biggest thing is that I know now that I'm good quality actor. Like I believe that I belong. I think for a while I wasn't sure that I lucked out because of the Superman thing and because I looked like him, and comedy stuff I knew I was good at, but I just didn't feel that I was fully seasoned or ripened, and I certainly still am not. But
yeah,
I do. Being a father is a big part of it, going through ups and downs of life, getting older and getting some wisdom and having, victories and losses, a better appreciation and grace, for myself. I think that I am a creator. I'm an actor. I am an artist. During COVID, I was like, you know what? I'm an artist. And I never gave myself that moniker, and that really kind of opened me up in that for those couple of weeks. I was like, I am an artist. I mean, I do other things. I'm musical. I art, draw, and not a lot, but I have all these penchants, and I literally like create and am an actor, but I didn't think of myself as an artist. And
I always felt very strange calling myself an artist, though. Like I was always like, well, I mean, I sort of play make believe for a living. Like, like I'm not like, Van Gogh. Like I can't play musical instruments. Like, I mean, I can sing, but like I wouldn't do Broadway. Like you know what I mean? Like I would always like make up these like, well, I'm not really an artist. Right. Yeah. And I think I've sort of, the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is art. It's just a different thing than, I don't put pen to paper.
Right. But we're creating all the time. We're literally creating, the thing is, we're creating something that we don't necessarily know how it's going to get taken. It'd be really interesting to show somebody just like some scenes and see what this group of people got from an actor's performance and how well they told the story versus, somebody telling the story this way, just to see what the audiences are receiving.
Well, art is subjective, right? And, if you're going to believe the praise, you also have to believe the criticism because it's opinion based.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to people who watched Superman Returns, for instance, and who were always bugged out about thinking Superman was pervy by, watching Lois and Richard have a conversation in the house kind of early in the movie. And that never really I don't think I ever thought of that oddly when I first read it, because I thought it's Superman. He's not doing it. He literally can see and hear anybody anywhere.
Yeah.
And, he leaves. He doesn't watch them do anything, not okay.
Yeah.
Given the benefit of the doubt, right? It's Superman. But so many people had thought that there was a bad Superman because of that.
Weird.
But they couldn't get over that, which is just an interesting thing for people to catch on. But anyway.
So people literally in that moment, they were like, oh, spine.
It was one of the things. And, maybe that's, some people go in with a misunderstanding about who's making the movie and whatever their lifestyle might have been and how it affected the news stories that came out about it and my involvement and all the rumor and just the really silly stuff that happens, but still happens in life. I guess that's kind of the ick. Anyway.
There you go.
The ick of life is the judgment.
Yeah. You brought up that you're a father. And I know that for myself, now having two small children, it instantaneously changed the way that I saw the world and the type of projects that I wanted to do. Do you find yourself sort of picking different types of projects based on what it's a son, right? What your son,
Leo,
what Leo is sort of into, or How has it changed you?
I mean, I'd like to say I've had an embarrassment of wishes and opportunities that I've had to piece through lately. But no, I honestly, I've always made decisions based on kind of what, not necessarily with the mindset of what my child would want to watch or what I'd be okay showing him. Just, it's always been what I'm putting into the world. Even before Superman, I had certain boundaries, I suppose. Then Superman coming in, I certainly am an actor and get to play and do whatever the heck I want to. But I have been protective of the moniker to a degree in some of the roles that I've chosen, but also the stuff that was too much against Superman, I didn't want to do anyway, because it's against Brandon. It's just not the stuff that I want to engage in a lot of the time, because I like having fun. I like laughing. I like making people laugh. And I want to enjoy the experience of filming as much as possible. Usually that happens more in a comedy. So I get to enjoy the experience of the day-to-day and have a nice product at the end of the day. And also just put more, love and art into the world. And I would say, though, to your point about children and maybe getting some wisdom, it is important for me to tell stories that help move the conversation forward, that help us engage with more emotional intelligence and have a more open and respectful just awareness that everyone's been through hard times. Everyone's had trauma in their life. Everyone needs therapy. If you're not in it, I've been in it for many, many years.
Please. I hope this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. They're one of our sponsors. I'm going to put it right there.
Okay.
And this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp.
There you go. I'm a certified trauma therapist and have had for many years. And
are you really?
Yeah. I'm not. I work with a certified trauma therapist. I am not a certified
I was like,
trauma
that's amazing.
No,
it's amazing that you work with a certified trauma specialist too. Like, that's also amazing. We should all be so lucky, because we all have trauma, whether we hate that word or not.
It's a word. It just means you were a kid once, and we all had parents who mostly tried to do their best. Or if you didn't have parents, you, in the traditional sense, you had an even more challenging thing, and you have a trauma of a different side. We can't judge each other's trauma or say mine's not worthy to do therapy on. If it's a thing that keeps coming up in your life, it's something that you need to get out, because it's a whole other conversation. But it's the exciting thing about life. I mean, I could equally go around talking about this kind of thing and getting people jazzed about, talking about their feelings as I could,
God, I love talking about feelings. I wish that more people did. I think it's so important. It's so important to talk about how you feel, and to also to be malleable, and to know that how you feel changes. And, we grow and we shift. At least that's the goal. But so many people are averse to it in a weird way.
Listen, when you talk about the therapy, the thing that people, I think, usually get turned off about therapy is like, oh, I got to talk about all the old stuff. Everything's about my mom and my dad. And I mean, that's not wrong. But talking about it doesn't mean you wallow in it. I think the snowflake quality, or the whatever, the weak male, whatever weak male adjectives they can throw at me for going and talking about my feelings, please have your heyday. They have no effect on me.
Yeah.
The point is that by talking about it, then I can let it go. The idea is not to keep victimizing myself about it. I've done enough of that in my life. We all have our own way of getting our upset out, or our regret.
Yeah.
But the more we don't look at it, and the more we hide from it, the more, from the movie, the more that it grows, honestly, and it takes over more of us. It has more power because we don't see what it's doing. We don't understand its effect on our lives. But if we look at it, take it out, and go, oh, listen, I'm a person who has made mistakes, and I'm a product of a person and people who have made mistakes in their life, given that's inherent in life. And just even that, respecting that you can go back and look at the past experiences and say, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they were wrong. Maybe we were both wrong. Maybe I could have handled it in a different way. And if I can hold it and just look at it, especially with parenting, how I could have handled this situation in a way that would not have resorted to my son feeling like dad didn't show up in that moment. I can go, oh, that sucked. It sucked for him. Sucked for me. It really sucked for him.
Yeah.
And if I can just own that, that's okay that happened, because it did. And then realize that the next time I can show up for myself maybe a little bit better, because I understand I'm not giving a great example, but I understand the impact that my not showing up has.
Well, I think ultimately, and it made complete sense what you were saying, is that, when you show up and you just, another word that people hate, when you hold space for someone else and you acknowledge that you're here, you're doing the best you can, the people before you did the best they could, and you don't hold on to that and allow it to define you or them, it allows you to be a better parent, but it also in turn allows you to be a softer, more whole person for yourself, because you are acknowledging that you're not perfect, and that's okay, that the beauty is in the imperfection.
Yeah. And the beauty. Yeah. I mean, it's in recognizing that the imperfection exists, and then going, oh, well, how do I make it more of a perfect version? Or how do I just, like, I can't change that.
Yeah.
But the issues that come up in our lives usually come up multiple times.
Oh yeah.
People notice patterns in their life and you go, man, did this thing again. Whoa. But if you can capture those in a moment of quietness for yourself and just look at it with more grace and love for yourself, which is challenging, then often we can find that there is a better version of us that in that moment didn't show up. But just because it didn't show up in that moment doesn't mean it's not possible for us to do it in the future. But we get so caught up in the times that we didn't show up in the past that all we're seeing is the times that we didn't show up. So, well, I'm not showing up now because I'm upset about the time I didn't show up back then.
It's interesting.
But it's hard to like that, just that little intercept and like.
Yeah. Yeah. I did an interview with a friend of mine, Paulina Paraskova, and she was talking about, she was married to a musician, and who was very rarely there. He was there, and when he was there, he was there. And she gave up her career. She gave up everything to be home for her kids. And one day, as they are grown adults now, they were sitting at the table and somebody said to them, who was around, the most growing up? And they were like, oh, Dad. And she was like, oh. And what the lesson was that your kids don't remember how much you're gone, as long as when you're there and you're present. And I remember that all the time because I travel so much for work, and I'm not the parent that's home all the time. That's my husband. And so when I'm home, I try to show myself some grace and forgiveness, and that, that I've missed moments, and that's okay. But be present and put my phone down and say, okay, like I got to make an impact. And the impact is just being there.
And it's so hard.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. And you're kind of like upset. Like, why is it so hard for me to show up? But it's because you have so many things buzzing in your head. I know that experience. And I know, I know about sometimes being the parent that's gone a lot of the time, especially when Leo was younger and I was in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I did my best to show up for the 24 hours that I had. And not every moment was great.
Yeah.
But now I educate myself. I'm like listening to books about things that knowledge that I could have had then.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I screwed that up. Okay, let me think about that a little bit. And then sometimes I'll go to Leo and say, hey, man, like there's this thing. I know we had this upset that you've talked about before, and thinking about it, understanding more, I realized how I didn't show up here and I could have done this. And, I try to have conversations like that because it's now when I realize, because it's important for kids to know that not only that parents and that people mess up because they literally see the world, messing up right in front of them, but that we can move forward and deal with conflict. Because, one of the many things that not enough people learn when they're growing up is conflict resolution. And because we're all doing the best we can. Who has the perfect parents? I don't know any perfect parents. I had wonderful parents and mine weren't perfect. Everybody really is doing it's hard to say, because every time I get on my high horse about saying everybody's doing the best they can, there are people who are being utterly, awful.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Listen, I understand we have to, that's being human. Is like, how do you hold both of these contradictory things? The world is both falling apart, and yet we are working to create a better one all at the same time. And these two opposing forces are,
But that's what it's about though, right? Is that acknowledging that they can both coexist, and that there's nothing as black and white. We literally live in the gray. And
they have to be. I mean, you can't have like a science-y, but you can't have one without the other. You have to have the opposing forces. Now, we can just have more of one opposing lighter force.
Wouldn't that be great?
Heavy force. And I will always carry that torch, that it's possible to be the Pied Piper, as it will, work as an artist. Because it just takes enough of a turning, what's the turning point? I mean, the tipping point. Seems like we're a ways off from it, but
I feel like we're backsliding. But I feel like that joy and being kind, it's contagious. So I'm going to continue to do that.
It is the smallest things. I know when I go to conventions and I see disparate group of many different people, walks of life, ethnicities, political parties and subgenres and all that. And Superman unites them. A lot of these characters unite them, and giving people a friendly face to someone who has reached some level of success in their mind, or a character that has meant a lot to them, is a lot to kind of live up to. But it's also just like kind of who I am. Like I don't always feel as happy as I feel like right now. Like talking about this stuff gets me jazzed and is cool. And when I'm with people, I feel more joyous and sharing in the experience of life. But it's real. Like it's not. I'm not putting anything on. I just get excited and happy around people, and that can be contagious. And everybody is, if we're celebrating more than we're warring, that is a possibility, even if it's not probable. Like there are possibilities of us not fighting everywhere globally.
That's
even
the
if
hope.
It's far off.
It's very Superman. Very Superman of you. This has been really wonderful. I think we've seen each other at conventions, but we've always just been like ships in the night. So
yes.
Yeah.
It's funny that this is the thing that allows us to have a conversation, but I appreciate it.
It's nice. Sort of why I started the podcast. It sort of came out of COVID, and having conversations with my friends again and having the time to have conversations, like real conversations again. And then realizing how much joy I get out of sitting down with new actors in the green room of a convention and getting to meet somebody that I've never met, whose work I enjoy, and having just a real conversation for an hour that would like be our lunch at a convention, you know?
Yeah.
And I just love it.
Without all the halogen lights just beaming down.
God, giving us migraines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm so excited to see this movie. I reached out to Joseph when I was going to interview you, and he was like, "Oh my God, I love it."
It's good. I'm happy to talk about it. So
wonderful.
Thank you for helping spread the ick.
Of course. My pleasure. And thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hindsight. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm exhausted, but that's okay because Jeph Porter can do the heavy lifting today. Hi, Jeph.
Hi, Katee. Where are you?
I am at what we like to call the Slutton. This is the Sutton Hotel in Vancouver, British Columbia. This is the hotel. We've talked about this a little bit. And the reason I know this is because last night when I was moving over to a different room, because my family's coming today, the guy at 2:00 in the morning said to me, I was listening to your Alan Tudyk episode and you talked about the Sutton. And I made sure that our manager knew that.
Oh, and did he know that you call it the Slutton?
Everyone calls it the Slutton. And the reason we call it the Slutton is because in the good old days of the Sutton, they don't do this anymore because the bar downstairs is now privately owned, not by the hotel. So they close at fucking 10:00, which is crazy. No actors are off work by 10:00.
Right. That's why they close early.
It used to be that it was open till like 3:00 in the morning. Actors would get off work. We'd meet in the bar from every show, every movie that was happening because this hotel was filled with actors. I'm talking like TV actors, movie stars, like everyone was in this hotel and pretty much fucking each other.
And the new owners were like, well, we can't have that.
We can't have.
There's one thing we know.
This Slutton, this moniker.
Yeah. There's one thing we know about the bar business, and that's we don't want beautiful, well-known people there to have sex.
This hotel's so busy, they're constantly refurbishing it. So I have seen so many iterations of decorations in these hotel rooms. Like I remember back in the day when it was like in 98 when I was, that would have been 2000 when I was recording Halloween. The apartment side looked so different. And then I was over and the hotel side when I was doing a show called The Fearing Mind in 1998. So like I have been like back and forth.
What you're saying is they need to clean the place out often is what you're saying.
They refurb it a lot, but the hotel side has just been refurbished in the last few years, and it's really beautiful over here. Yeah. I think since Robin and I stayed here during season 1, or I stayed here during season 1 of Another Life, and that's when they had just finished the remodel on the hotel side. So that's like 6-7 years ago. But the apartment side needs a remodel. So if you're listening, Sutton, let me know. I'm really good at design work. I can tell you, we could do like a throwback 1999 Sutton.
This by any chance? Is this the same hotel where the opening of Christmas Sale is? Because your character in that is a hotel design person. So
no, that's down the street at probably a business center. Actually.
Wow, you're just whoring around on the slut.
Oh my God, this place. The food though, downstairs, there's a restaurant. It's called Boulevard, I believe. Maybe that's the name of the bar. But anyway, they're attached to each other, and the food is like fucking amazing. So the food downstairs is glorious, which is awesome. The burger's one of the best burgers in Vancouver. So check it out. Anyway, enough about the Sutton.
Well, we don't normally record this closely to when an episode comes out, but we're a little bit behind because of your very busy schedule right now. So you're currently on like the back half of filming?
Mm-hmm. We are, and we are super close to running out of episodes. We literally, next week is Tom O'Pennicott, and we just recorded that in Vancouver too. So we've got we're going to play catch up here really soon, but I'm done here for Carrie in the next 3 weeks.
Right.
And then the rest of the year is craziness. And have some really cool announcements coming about other work, which I can't talk about right now. But we'll get into that in the Patreon at some point.
Yeah, I have some questions for you that we'll talk about in the Patreon about Carrie and why we can't talk about Carrie.
Absolutely. And we're going to keep this hindsight super short, you guys, because I only have 45 minutes and we need to give a lot of that to Patreon. So, Brandon, he's lovely.
He's lovely. And I feel like there's always this sort of assumption with people that are part of a big franchise, and especially his situation. I think a lot of people wonder how he's doing because there's the perception that he kind of got a little screwed over, even though I think generally everybody thinks he was a fantastic Superman.
Well, I said as much in the interview, though, that I think that it was, I think that he got like unfairly sort of dumped on at the time. And we see this a lot with big franchise when, it's disappeared for a while and then they reboot it again, either with the same people or different people. Fans shit all over someone. And then in hindsight, they look back at it and they're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Brandon is another example of that, I think, because I feel like he got a lot of, there was so much pressure on him, not only because he looked like Christopher, but because Christopher had just passed. I think that there was a lot of pressure just to honor Christopher's memory and what he brought to it because so many people loved him.
Yeah,
and
I mean, he
Brandon,
was Superman.
He is the only, now I have not seen the new Superman. I have 2 kids. I'm exhausted. But Brandon, to me, and I feel like the new version is a little more like this. I think that he had and I don't want to say a softness, but there was a softness to Christopher.
Yeah.
In the role. There was this everyman Clark Kent bleeding into Superman that Brandon had that none of the other ones had. They didn't have. So I don't know. I'm curious what the new one's like because I feel like it's got a little bit of that to it, right? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet either, but
We're
I do.
Terrible at our jobs.
I know. I do know that just knowing James Gunn's work, I know it's going to be a lot more lighthearted than the previous incarnation, which is very divisive amongst, there are people who absolutely love the way that Zack Snyder did Superman. And then there are people who don't like it. And the new one is already getting some backlash because everything gets backlash now. But I feel like Brandon kind of was in this time before superhero movies really became huge. I mean, 2006 was like, I think Iron Man came out like maybe a year later, 2 years later. And
so I was reading, and this is complete sidebar, I was reading sort of the rise of Marvel and how it actually transpired, which was that Marvel was fucking bankrupt.
Oh, yeah.
They were bankrupt. The comic, the graphic novel comic book side of it was going bankrupt. Everything was fucking crazy. I don't know if people know this story. And ultimately what happened was a new guy came in. I should know his name. I don't. And basically said, let's do, I believe we can be a studio because the studios obviously don't get Marvel. So if we do this ourselves, I think we can do this. The first property that they tried, they said, let's take a lesser known property and see what we can do with it.
And part of that was because they had sold the rights to a lot of their big name properties. Like
they had.
Sony still famously owns Spider-Man.
Yes, right. So, and this happened a lot. And then Marvel, I think, was one of the first ones that was like taking properties back. And, but so they did Blade, and then they were like, okay, now let's try a little bit harder and let's do a lesser known B sort of character. They picked Iron Man and they spent a lot of money. But at that point, Robert Downey Jr. was unhireable.
Right.
Because of the things that, his past. And they took a chance on him. They took a chance on the property. And that movie made like $500 million.
Yeah.
And then they just started fucking going.
You're also, I cannot believe you're trying to erase Ben Affleck's Daredevil from history.
When was that?
That was in like the early 2000s before Iron Man.
So I have to say, though, that I still love Daredevil because Elektra and Jennifer Garner is still one of my favorite characters.
Well, and they brought her back. You probably haven't seen it because of the kids and such, but in Deadpool and Wolverine, she's back.
No, I saw that.
Oh, you did?
See that because it came out like a year ago, Jeph. I need time.
All right.
Like if I can watch Superman on my phone on a plane, I would have watched it by now.
God, you're the one killing theaters.
Oh, God help me. No, because I bought a ticket to go see Superman. I didn't go.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not. I had full intention of walking across the street with Matthew Lillard and going to watch Superman.
That's like what those of us who
I didn't buy a ticket. He bought me a ticket.
Those of us who work in the industry, we should just, give like a monthly donation to like AMC or something by just like, we should all just sign up for stubs, even if we never use it, just to keep the industry alive. So if you're listening, AMC, give us a sponsorship. Yeah, so I thought his relationship with it was very good because sometimes, when we have people on this show, if they're really known for one thing, there's sort of this question about like, how much do you talk about it? Do they want to talk about it? And he brought it up first, so it was
he did. I was so happy he did because he gave me an in. And we've seen this with many people that we've interviewed and that won't go nameless. Where like you want to talk about the work that sort of brought them notoriety and fame, and they don't want to talk about it. And you're like, okay, cool. So we'll focus on the one thing you want to talk about right now that hasn't come out that nobody wants to hear about.
It's like going to see a band and they're only going to play the new stuff. You're like, okay, great.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be like, I just saw a lot of my friends at an Alanis Morissette concert and she hit every one of the songs you want her to hit. It would be like going to see Alanis and her being like, I'm only going to play off my new album.
Yeah.
Fuck Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah. And you're like, isn't that ironic? So when you are doing interviews, you haven't done press yet for Carrie, obviously, but you've done some press for recent things. How much is Battlestar and Star Wars coming up when you're trying to talk about another project?
Star Wars comes up all the time. It is the reason why. So here's the thing is that, and we do this because we have a booking company. You get a list of people that are coming out in projects. And you tell them who you want to talk to. And even if you don't know the current project at all that they're in, you will say, okay, that's fine. I'll talk to them because I want to talk about this project. Yeah. So for me, a lot of people will look probably and go, I don't really want to talk about that. But if I could get one question in from Star Wars where she gives me a spoiler, my website will blow up. So that's sort of, and I actually kind of like this. Somebody came up to me the other day, was an actor who's I would love to have on the show, but he said, I really love your show. And I said, you do? You watch it? And he goes, I absolutely do. And the reason I love your show is because I can tell you're not just trying to get clip outs.
But we are.
Because, but we're not, you know what I mean? Like how many times does the person who runs my clips channel go, why can't you ask them this? And I'm like, cause that's not who I am. Like I'm not.
And ultimately that's not as interesting. Like there's a diminishing returns on trying to get the clickbaity stuff because you're just making vapid material that is sort of regurgitating content that other people have had. And by just having a genuine conversation, you're actually generating new material.
Well, and good shit in the world, like Steve Gutenberg's a perfect example. Could I have gone through and asked and had 5 questions, which I did. I had 5 questions that I knew would be good clip outs, that people would go, oh, I'd love to hear this story, or I'd love to hear this story. And ultimately, one or two of them might have made it in, but what it comes down to is that the conversation, it didn't naturally fit. And I would much rather talk to Steve Guttenberg about positivity and his dad and things like that.
Yeah.
And we would have never gotten his fucking Paramount story had I tried to only ask 5 questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So we move into the mail sack real quick.
Mail sack. We're going to the mail sack. Mail sack. Why are we calling it mail sack?
You guys send your comments and your questions to the sackhoffshow@gmail.com. And we also look at sort of the comments on the YouTube videos as well. So we kind of are pulling from a whole another slew of things. But at the same time, please send those questions and comments to the Sackhoff Show because we love to hear from you.
Speaking of YouTube comments, I have one here with a hard-hitting question from Christobanistanian or Christobanistanian.
Copy.
Hard-hitting question here. How is Katee Sackhoff so adorable?
I don't know. It's just fucking easy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. As a fellow adorable person, it's just, just comes naturally.
It's just, I wake up like this. It's so funny. I hear a lot of things. I think it's actually not to toot on my adorability, which I'm not going to, but there are a lot of comments all the time about the positivity and like the upbeat nature of myself, because I don't think that people are prepared for me to be so like upbeat all the time. And I'm not upbeat all the time. You've seen me when I'm in a bad mood, Jeph.
If you stick around for the Patreon, you can see Katee go a little, Katie's claws.
We have a little section called Katie's Claws where I come out and I just take the piss out of everybody. So I don't know. I feel like...
although we did make Katie's claws also kind of adorable.
You did. It's not like you like picked a lion or something. You picked like a baby kitten like falling down the wall like, meow.
Stop being mean to me. Well, let's do one email and then we'll wrap up this part. This is from Stuart. It says, "Hi, Katee. I remember a while back during your show with Trisha Helfer, you mentioned that you've never actually seen Battlestar Galactica. Are there any shows that you are in that you have sat down, watched, and enjoyed?"
Longmire.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. Are there any what other shows are you watching that you're not in, perhaps?
Right now, I'm watching Upload.
Upload, right. Well, that's because we've got
Robbie and Mel's show for a reason. Yeah. But I was already watching Upload. I found it during COVID.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was already watching that show. So that was super easy for me to be like, sure, I'd love Robbie on the podcast. Is
that the only thing you're watching now? You have time to watch?
So I'm watching that. I'm watching Formula One. Mm-hmm. What else am I watching? What's on my list of
Did you see the F1 movie?
Not yet. Everyone keeps talking about it, and we need to go see it, but we have kids.
Yeah. Isn't it on
and
Apple?
Our nanny just quit.
I think it's streaming.
We'll never leave our house.
I think it's streaming.
Of course it is, but I want to watch it with the seat shaking.
Just have the kids jump up and down on the couch.
Welcome to kid life. That's going to be like, if you've seen the things on Instagram or TikTok of like the kids sitting in a laundry basket and like the dads pretending like they're on like a roller coaster and everything.
I used to do that when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's going to be us. Just the kids jumping on the bed during the Formula One scenes. We're going to be like, this is so realistic. Yeah.
I think you've worked it out.
All right, guys, we're going to jump into the Patreon right now where we are going to talk about the Power Rangers short that I did with Joseph Kahn years ago. We're also going to talk about the Superman poll. Is it Superman? Is it Superman? We're going to get into that. And we're also going to talk about why I can't talk about Carrie. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm excited for next week's episode. Come back. It is none other than Tom O'Pennicott. You're going to love it. It's a great conversation. And really special. So thank you so much. I will see you this weekend in Texas. Don't miss that live show with Jeph and I and Emily Swallow.
And
that's what's up.